Welcome to the Ukrainian Myth and Legends podcast.
So, let's begin.
Greetings, seekers of secrets, and welcome to the Ukrainian Myths and Legends channel, the place where the darkest tales come to life. Before we dive into tonight's story, I invite you to become part of our community. If you, like us, are fascinated by the world of myths, subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a new story. Feel free to write in the comments right now which legend scares you the most. Tonight, our tale is about a shadow that awoke in the Polesian forests after fire fell from the sky. About an ancient power that does not forgive uninvited guests. About the god of the earth, of livestock, and of the underworld who always comes to collect his debt. About the master of the forest who changes his faces and plays a melody on his pipe that the living should not hear. So, make yourselves comfortable and listen.
Ostap was a young but already respected folklorist. His passion was pre-Christian beliefs, the shadows of ancient gods that hid in the whispers of old people and in rituals whose meanings were long forgotten. In 2023, he received a small grant to study the impact of the Chernobyl disaster on the folklore of Polesia. His theory was simple. When civilization suddenly retreats, what fills the vacuum? His path led him to the Polesian Nature Reserve, into the heart of the Jitomer region. All around were forests that had grown wilder, denser, as if trying to hide the wound inflicted by the sky. The locals were reluctant to speak of the forest, but one old woman, wrinkled like a baked apple, whom Ostap met in the village of Selazivka, gave him a key.
Are you looking for tales, son? But the forest doesn't tell tales. It remembers. When the fire that poisoned the earth fell from the sky, the master of the forest awoke. He does not like it when his domain is disturbed, especially by outsiders.
What master?
The one who walks on 2 legs and on 4. The one whose beard is roots and whose hair is moss. the one that livestock can hear better than man. Volas.
After this conversation, Ostap opened his field journal and began to take notes. His voice sounded confident and analytical.
Research notes. First contact. Journal entry, August 15th, 2023. This is incredible. The description given by the old woman is not just some local forest spirit. It's a textbook depiction of Veles, or Volos. First, the one who walks on 2 legs and on 4. This is a direct reference to one of Veles's key attributes, the ability to shapeshift. Research confirms he could take the form of a bear, a wolf, a bull. Second, whose beard is roots and whose hair is moss, a classic personification of the god's phonic, earthly essence. Unlike the celestial thunderer Perun, Veles is the power of the earth, the forests, the underworld of Nav. Third, Volos. The very form of the name the woman used is significant. Researchers connected to the word for hair, fur, wool, which confirms his function as the cattle god.
Intrigued, Ostap found a guide, a grim, silent man named Ivan. They set off deep into the reserve. The deeper they went, the stronger the feeling of being watched became. The air grew thick and smelled of damp earth, decaying leaves, and something strangely sweet, like blood and honey. They were walking along the marshy Ubort River when Ivan suddenly stopped.
Stop. He pointed to a massive old pine tree. Carved into its trunk was a sign, a triangle with 2 horns pointing upwards, the symbol of Veles.
I go no further. This is his boundary. You're a scholar. You need proof. But know this. Anything you take from here, a stone, a branch, a photograph, you take it on loan. And the master always comes to collect his due.
Ostap scoffed dismissively, thanked the guide, and went on alone. Later that day, he turned to his notes once more.
Research notes. The Boundary of Worlds. Journal entry, August 16th, 2023. Ivan isn't just superstitious. His words about debt and the master are an echo of ancient beliefs about Veles as a god of contracts and oaths. First, the symbol on the pine. The bull's head sign is the most common Veles amulet. Its location near the river is also no accident. Veles' shrines were often located in lowlands, near water. Second, the master always comes to collect his due. This sounds like a warning. Veles is the ruler of the underworld, Nav, a guide for souls. To cross his boundary is to enter into a pact. A debt to such a deity is not paid in money.
The interference. It's overwhelming the recorder.
The clearing was hauntingly beautiful. In its center stood a moss-covered boulder, shaped like the head of a bearded man with horns. At its base lay offerings, sheaves of rye tied into a Veles's beard, old coins, a bleached bull skull. It was an active shrine. Fascinated, Ostap began to take pictures. He took out his audio recorder to record his thoughts, but only static hissed from the speaker. Suddenly, everything fell silent. The bird's song vanished, the rustle of the wind, the crackle of twigs, as if sound itself had died. And then he heard it. a low, drawn-out sound, like a reed pipe. The melody was simple, hypnotic, and impossibly ancient. It seemed to come from everywhere at once, a monotonous, lingering ooh-wee, ooh-wee.
A fragmented audio recording made in that moment survived in his notes. Ostap's voice trembles with a mixture of excitement and fear. The shrine. It's active. The offerings. Veles' beard. The recorder isn't working. Just silence. Absolute. It's like crossing a threshold. The pipe. Do you hear it? In iconography, Veles is often depicted with a pipe. This melody, it's not for the living.
Ostap tried to locate the source of the sound, and his gaze fell upon the shadows beneath the pines. The shadows were moving. They condensed, forming something dark and massive. It had the shape of a man, but was far taller. Branching horns grew from its head. A terrible realization flashed through Ostap's mind. The Chernobyl disaster wasn't just an accident. For this land, it was an act of war by Perun, the god of thunder and the sky, whose fire had fallen upon the domain of Veles. And now that the people were gone, the offended god had reclaimed his own. The creature raised a hand, and a dark staff appeared within it. Ostap couldn't see a face, but he felt its gaze, as heavy as the earth and as cold as the grave. He was standing on the threshold of Nav, the world of the dead. His rational mind desperately sought an explanation, hallucinations, infrasound, radiation. But the primal terror in his blood knew the truth.
No, 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 no! Let's get out of here!
He ran without seeing the path, breaking branches, falling into the mire. There were no footsteps behind him, but the melody of the pipe followed relentlessly. Once, glancing back, he saw not a shadow, but a massive black bear rising on its hind legs, letting out a deep roar. In the next moment, it was a pack of wolves with eyes that glowed with an unnatural light. Veles was changing his faces. Thoughts scrolled through his head. He ran out from the forest only of dawn, covered in dirt, scratched, with a wild look in his eyes. He was found by border guards. His camera was smashed. The audio recorder was gone. Back in Kiev, among his belongings, a map was found. On its back, the last fragmented notes were scrawled in a trembling hand.
Revelation and escape. Perun versus Veles, it's not a metaphor. Fire from the sky, it scourged the earth. And in the vacuum, Veles took back what was his. The bear, the wolves, the serpents, they are his manifestations. I saw the god change his form. He showed me who is master here.
He had turned to Kiev, but the forest never let him go. His grant was considered a success, though his report was confusing and incomplete. He never went on any other expedition. At night, he dreamed of the dense thickets of Zhytomyr, the stone idol, and that same melody from the pipe. Sometimes looking in the mirror, deep in his own pupils, He saw not the reflection of his room, but a dark, ancient forest. Ivan was right. He had taken something from the forest, a memory. And now the master came to collect his debt, every single night.
Who is Veles? Ask 10 people and you will hear 10 different answers. For he does not have a single face. He is a god of 1,000 aspects, permeating all of existence. Let us try to glimpse at least a few of them. Imagine a primordial forest, dense and dark. Here he is the lord of the forest with wolves. Not a shepherd, but the leader of the pack. His eyes watch you from the thicket, and his will is the law of the wild. But his power lies not only in claws and fangs. In the silence of forest shrines, he is a powerful magician, one who knows the language of herbs and beasts, who sees the past and future in the patterns of moss on stones. When the path of life comes to an end, Veles changes his face. He takes up his staff and becomes the silent guide of souls in Nav, the Underworld. He does not judge, but merely points the way through the mist between worlds. From the forest, he emerges into the meadows and human settlements. Here, he is the patron of wealth and livestock, the cattle god, whose favor fills barns with grain and stables with healthy animals. His beard is the golden ears of grain in the field. His wealth is not only material. In silence, he is the god of wisdom and the arts, the one who grants inspiration, plunging the artist or sage into a meditative state where great ideas and deep insights are born. He remembers a time when the world was younger. His most ancient form is the archaic spirit of wild nature embodied in the bear. Powerful, sometimes dangerous, but always the just master of his woodland domain. Look at the clouds. To our ancestors, they were celestial herds, and Veles was their shepherd. As the shepherd of celestial flocks, he controls atmospheric phenomena, bringing life-giving rain to the earth. From the fields and pastures, he walks to the bustling marketplace. Here, he is the patron of trade and crafts. He guides the hand of the honest merchant, blesses the blacksmith's hammer and the carpenter's chisel, helping to create and exchange. Some saw him as grander still, as Triglav, who upholds the cosmos. One of his heads looks to the world of Prav, of the gods, the second to Yav, of people, and the third to Nav, of spirits, maintaining the balance of the universe. His connection is with the earth, with moisture, with what lies beneath the roots. This is his connection to the serpent and his chthonic nature. He is the god of earthly wisdom, who, like a serpent shedding its old skin, symbolizes eternal renewal. During a thunderstorm, an eternal drama unfolds. The thunder and lightning are the celestial god Perun, fiercely battling his age-old rival. This is the antagonism with Perun, the eternal struggle between sky and earth, fire and water. The most important agreements were sworn in his name, for he is a judge and the patron of oaths. To break an oath made to Veles was to invite not a heavenly wrath, but an earthly curse, disease, and poverty. On the longest night of the year, he opens the gate.
As the connector between worlds and the spirit of ancestors, he allows the living and the dead to meet during Veles' night, reminding us that our lineage is an unbroken chain. He breathes creativity. As the patron of music and poetry, he inspired the ancient bards who were called his grandsons. The melody of his reed pipe is the harmony of the world itself. And finally, from the vast cosmos to the warmest home, even here his breath is present. He is the Lord of the Domovics, the unseen house spirits who protect the family and home, if treated with respect. Forest Lord, magician, shepherd, judge, artist, guide. Veles is the very fabric of being, uniting the wild nature and the human world, life and death, the seen and the secret. And each of his faces is but one part of a great mystery.
If this story resonated with you and awakened your curiosity for the world beyond, let us know. Your like is like a candle flame that lights our path through the darkness of myths. Tell us in the comments what other legends live on in your memory. Which spirits should we disturb next time? Subscribe to continue wandering the paths of ancient tales with us, and ring the bell to be the first to hear the call when a new story emerges.